It's Severine
and Ronnie,
and we're back with another episode of
Moonlight.ponders. It's been a minute.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. In addition to Christmas, we've been really struggling with trying to figure out topics because it seems like a lot of the stuff we talk about is kind of introductory witch stuff to me, and
I think we were getting a little bored, if I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and if I'm bored, I feel like it probably comes out for you guys too. And so we were talking about what's something that we could talk about that would be interesting. And we kind of got talking about there's a lot of historical witches that really don't get talked about a lot, or get painted very negatively. Or what have you. So today we're going to be starting, at least until we get bored with it.
I mean, we might move on to something else, but we're trying this to be a little fresh, but also stick true to magical things.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about the historical witches, and specifically we're going to go to a point in history called the Poison Affair.
And to be fair, I know nothing about this. She would not let me look any of this up.
I told him what I wanted to do was to basically present it to him so it's fresh knowledge and he can react.
So, hashtag, this is also a reaction video.
Okay, so are you ready to hear about the Poison Affair?
Yes.
Alright, so what do you know about Louis XIV?
He was French.
That's right.
And,
Hi, baby.
Was he the one that the Iron Mask is about?
I have not
The sequel
watched...
to the Three Musketeers?
I have not watched the Iron Mask.
Uncultured swine. I'm kidding.
The big thing that he's known for is he built the Palace of Versailles. So, did that happen?
I mean, there was already a palace there.
Okay, so then you're thinking about probably his grandson. I would assume. There's so many Louis. I mean, we're at 14, XIV.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on. Okay. So, I'm going to read this to you as I have it written. I took notes, everyone. And then I'm going to tell you details about certain people involved.
Okay.
The Poison Affair was a major murder scandal that implicated several members of the French aristocracy on charges of poisoning and witchcraft. It led to the execution of 36 people and entered the inner circle of King Louis XIV. It began after the trial of Madame de Brinvilliers, in which she was accused of poisoning family members in order to inherit their estates. This led to paranoia amongst the French, including Louis XIV. It led to the arrest of several fortune tellers and alchemists in France, many of whom confessed to poisoning. So that's the precursor to the story. So the major player in this story is Catherine Monvoisin, or Lavoisin. I kept thinking that her name looks like poison because it's Voisin.
Oh my.
And
Bear with us.
I don't know what's up with her. She's usually off to the side, not interested. You guys are so interesting. She's missed this, I guess. Okay, so Lavoisin was trained in fortune telling at the age of 9. She married a jeweler and silk merchant, but
So she was dressed for the gods.
she was considered a member of high society, which is how this whole thing gets really interesting. Because when you think about this particular case, you think about there were witch trials and things like that back in different time periods. This is one of the only times in history that you can say that there was actual proof and actual evidence that there was witchy things going on. And it literally, well, you'll see. So, her husband goes bankrupt, the business falls apart. And she's like, bitch, whatever. I can take care of us because I know how to fortune tell. I will do palmistry and all this other stuff. She did midwifing, which actually led into her performing illegal abortions. And several were late term.
That's not cool.
Oh, it gets worse. So she became such an influential person in the French court because several of the aristocrats would hire her to poison other people, rivals, things like that. So she eventually created a network of fortune tellers / poisoners, and they performed different kinds of rituals, including these things called black masses.
So she had an assassin's guild.
Pretty much. I mean, they were fortune tellers and magic makers too. She had notoriously 6 lovers. The most famous one was named Adam Lesage, and he was also in his own right a very well-known fortune teller and accused sorcerer. He was married but promised his love to her and literally tried to persuade her into killing her husband, which she almost did and then backed out of in the last minute. So during this time, she ends up getting in good with, prepare for the most dessert sounding name you've ever heard.
Okay.
Madame de Montespan.
Nope. I need to end with the creme. Sorry.
I just kept misreading her name and thinking it said Marzipan.
Ew. Marzipan is gross.
Well, apparently the king didn't think so because that was not only his mistress, his official mistress. So,
because back then, they had official mistresses.
Yeah.
Like, that was a thing. And, like, sometimes they'd be friends with the queen and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
they were all fine with it. They're like, I don't want my husband here, take him.
In most records that I have seen and representations, the queen was not good with Lady Marzipan. I'm just going to call her that because...
Disrespected Lady Marzipan.
Hey, Lady Marzipan, one thing I can tell you that I know she is known for is her fashion. She was like the creator of several trends.
Can we say her name correct one more time for the record, though?
Madame de Montespan.
But we are calling her Lady Marzipan.
Lady Marzipan. Lady Marzipan and La Voisine. They were like this.
La Poison.
La Poison. La Poison and Lady Marzipan.
Please have their names typed out.
I will. I promise. It'll be in the description.
Oh my god.
I kept going, how do you say her name? La Voisine. La Voisine.
Someone's just gonna send us video reactions.
I know.
Just pronouncing the names correctly for us.
I know. And at one point I was like, Lady Vicine. That's how she was poisoning people. She was just
What are you doing? You're never, ever, ever bothering us. Until now. Why is that? I drop you.
Aww. She's like,
Anyways.
she's so spoiled, you guys. She's upset because she's not getting attention right now. She wants to play.
Anyways.
So, Lady Marzipan is all like, so La Poison, I really want the king to love me forever. So what do I do about that? And La Poison is like, let's hold a black mass, girl. And so Lady Marzipan's like, bitch, what's that? Do you like my storytelling? This is literally how it's written. This is literally what it said. It's not. So a black mass consisted of child sacrifice.
Lovely.
I don't know that they go into... I didn't read any specific details other than there was child sacrifice. And that Lady Marzipan participated in this black mass to win the love of the king, in which she was bathed in blood.
Child's blood.
Probably. And made some sort of pact with the devil. And this is literally like, I know it sounds like one of those things, like in the Salem witch trial, they accused people and it wasn't true. But this is actually, multiple people confirmed this. And not under torture or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, Lady Marzipan ends up being the king's mistress for a while, and things are kind of starting to go down south. He's kind of like, I'm kind of bored with you.
Because we men do.
And then Lady Marzipan's like, if you leave me, I'm going to kill you.
She threatened the king.
She threatened the king.
Alright, I need him to grow up hair. And just guillotine her!
He was like, bitch, you ain't going to do nothing. So eventually he moves on to another mistress, and Lady Marzipan goes up to La Poison and is like, I need you to fuck his life up royally by ending it. And La Poison's like, see, he's the king. That might not be a good idea.
I just see her taking her cup of tea going, no.
And then Lady Marzipan's like, so money? And La Poison is like,
yes.
Exactly like that. So La Poison conspires with several people, one of which is, she had 6 kids, I think. So one of her daughter's fiancés is a poisoner.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, how's the best way to do this? And she's like, we're going to put poison on this petition. Which is basically this paperwork that you bring to the king. The king looks at it and he says, yay, nay, signs it or whatever. But he has to read it. So we're going to put it on the petition. He's going to touch it and then he's going to die.
It's scary.
Yep. But it is what they did. And they poisoned the petition. Unfortunately for her, the day that she brings it to the king, everybody and their mama also decided to bring a petition to the king. So she never gets to see him. And she takes it home and she gives it to her daughter and she's like, burn this shit. We don't want any evidence on us. Like, this is a pretty good indication we should not try to kill the king. So, keeping all of this in mind, this woman was very well respected in society. She actually hosted events at her home. She would have aristocrats over in her gardens and they would listen to violin music. That was one of the things that I read and I was like, wow.
While eating marzipan, not the lady.
Well, they might have. I mean, I don't know. The French were pretty risque back in those days. Anyway, so eventually this particular case with the king's sister-in-law ends up dying. And although it's now proven that it wasn't poison that killed his sister-in-law, at the time they thought she was poisoned. Because she'd been on like this journey to speak highly of the king, and then she came back and she died. But it was really a sickness of some sort, you know. Anyway, so someone was accused, they were charged, and then the king's like, if they gonna poison my sister-in-law, they gonna poison me.
Meanwhile, La Poise's going, oh shit.
That's exactly it. So they bring in all of the fortune tellers, all of the alchemists, and they're like, talk, bitches, talk. So, there was one lady in particular named Marie Bosse, B-O-S-S-E. I don't know if it's boss. I mean, I don't know if it's French, so it's pronounced something else. But we're going to call her Boss.
Lady Boss.
Lady Boss was like, So, La Poison is kind of the person you should really be looking at because she's the one who controls our network. At which point, one of her accusations, which is not proven, keeping this in mind, is that the aborted children, or the aborted babies, were burned in a furnace in the La Poison home and then buried in the gardens.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's proven not to be true, you said?
That's alleged, not proven. So they never dug up.
Y'all, she never gets in my lap.
Aww.
It's because of the camera.
She's like, I gotta pretend to love Dad.
She's a ham. So anyways, allegedly there are dead babies buried in her garden.
Yep. I feel like that would be a haunted place if that's true. Oh my god.
This almost sounds like an episode of French Empire.
Oh my gosh. So, continuing on from there. Eventually, all of this leads to La Poison getting arrested.
Poison was arrested.
She was arrested. And there was a order that she could be tortured to get a confession. But because she had so much on the aristocrats in the French court, she was not tortured. So she was accused of using all sorts of things, which in actuality she was pretty much like did a lot of what we would consider kitchen witchery. You know, she provided aphrodisiacs to people to entice love. Obviously, she was found guilty of poisoning people. You know, there was proof of that. But she never confessed about Lady Marzipan or the Black Masses or things like that.
So how does it come about? How do those get found out?
So, though she was never tortured, she was executed.
Oh.
And her daughter was also one of her daughters, maybe all of them. Her children were arrested, and one of the daughters, Marguerite, I believe was her name.
Marguerite Poison? La Poison?
Yes, Marguerite La Poison.
Little La Poison.
Little La Poison.
Little La Poison.
Little La Poison was like, Mr. King, look, if you want to know the deets, here it is. Your mistress, Madame Marzipan, was all like, you should die. And she tried to have you killed. She tried to have you poisoned. But while we at it, all these other people have tried to be a part of it too. And so she basically brought it to the attention of the king. And then Adam Lesage, the lover of La Poison, they told him, if you confess, we'll let you go. If you basically tell us everything we need to know about everybody, you're free to go. So he told them in detail what happened in Black Masses.
Why?
And it was so astonishingly terrible, like the child sacrifice stuff, that the French officials didn't believe it. But it was later confirmed by a maid who had not been arrested and several other people that what he was saying happened actually happened. So,
That's me. Stop.
what are you doing?
My toe?
She's like, it wiggled. It is therefore a thing to attack. But he was actually not released. They didn't keep to their word.
It's like...
All of them were kept in prison until their deaths. And there's no confirmation about, at the very least, there's no confirmation about what day, what time, all this stuff that he died. He would try to kind of tell them things. He would try to tell them things so that they would release him, and it never came to be, of course. Anyway, so that's the story of La Poison.
La Poison and Lady Marzipan.
Mm-hmm.
The real Thelma and Louise.
Yeah. So there was actual, like I said, you know, she basically would create herbal potions. She was really well known for her palmistry work. She would do this thing called face reading, which I'm not really sure that I'm familiar with.
It's what happens is she looked at this girl's face. You ugly, that's why you ain't getting married. Next. Why you got 5 men after you? It's because you're a pretty girl. Choose well, marry well.
We're gonna find out in a past life that Ronnie was La Poison.
Nah, if I was La Poison, everybody would have died. The moment that son was over, first of all, Marzipan's like, I need you to kill this king. I'd be like, sweetie, finish your tea. And then after she died, because I poisoned the tea, move on. I'd be like, I'm done. And then I'd write to the king, you're welcome. This bitch wanted to kill you, so I killed her for you.
Yeah.
First of all, if the king had some balls, the moment she threatened to kill him, I'd have been like, oh, hey guards! She threatened my life.
Oh. Do you want to hear something else? What do you think happened to Lady Marzipan after it was reported that she tried to kill the king?
I'm pretty sure she got killed herself. What?
She was exiled.
Exiled?
Exiled from court.
Because that snatch was just too good, he couldn't kill her.
I think that it was more so, at least, based off of what little knowledge I have of her, she lived for high society. She was a bougie heifer.
Maybe I was Lady Marzipan in the past life.
You were like, I can kill the king. Anyway, well, Louis was bougie. He was very insistent on, like...
Sweetie, they were French.
Yeah, I mean, but...
No offense to French people.
He was the king of bougie. He's really the reason that the one French Revolution was, like, such a thing, because he spent so much money. And when he spent all that money, it didn't really come into effect until later, but, you know, like, he spent so much money to create that castle, and he wanted the Hall of Mirrors to be this gorgeous thing, like, all of it. He just was a very attention to detail king. But I think he knew death would probably be too easy, and he probably figured if I exile her from court and high society, this will be like
a big punishment for her.
A big punishment. So
they sent her to the Americas.
I think she still lived in France.
Oh.
But
that's not an exile.
It was exile from court.
I mean, I'm gonna need you to get to the other side of the planet. Don't want to see your face no more. Like, Bellamy, you're exiled. You're no longer an inside cat. That's how you exile someone. No, I'm not exiling you, not really.
She's like, you know, I am awfully close to having claws in your leg. I could do it.
You're such a fragile creature to be ashamed of some big, strong hands gripped you forcefully. Look, I ain't into sacrificing animals, but... I'm kidding. No. Love our animals, always.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of this story? Let us know about the names. I would love that reaction video, honestly.
Do you want to talk about what you think about the story?
Look. Things are messed up. I mean, just... You don't kill babies.
Yeah, I think I probably could have been cool with everything but baby death.
Like, slaughtering children at Black Mass. And I'm like, look, if you want to get down with the devil, you get down with the devil, but don't be killing children.
Yeah, like, I think because even with the poison, I was like, you know, that was a good way to make money back in those days. I could see how one would kind of be in a situation and it seems like that's a good way to do it or whatever.
Translation, she wants to kill people for money and get away with it.
That's not what I said.
I think it is.
I said back in those times.
I'm thinking she's wishing she was back in those times.
No. Anyway.
No, she just didn't sound like a great person. I mean, it's interesting. I would like to, like, next time maybe talk about someone who was a positive impact for witch culture.
Actually, there is one of the other ones that I've looked up that we will talk about. She literally did nothing wrong. And we'll just get into that.
Okay, but just so y'all know, a lot of these stories are going to end with them dying.
Yeah.
Because if they were famous witches, and it was before the 19th century or 20th century, they got executed for it.
About the only ones I think that we could get into that didn't die would probably be like pre-Roman Empire, which would be very hard to find because the Romans were pretty much like the way that they conquered was your personal history was destroyed. So that's why a lot of Celtic culture and deities and things like that are not really well known because the Romans came over and they were like, nope.
Not today.
Nope. You're going to be Christian.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that like, subscribe button. And hit that little notification bell. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All the grams and ams and whatnots that you young people do this day and age.
We only have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube, so just saying.
I'm saying that's so long to say. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful time and stay magical.